Hey everyone, Spencer Hawes here, and welcome back to the Niche Pursuits podcast. I am very excited to have a great guest on with me today. His name is Travis Jamison. And Travis is somebody that was on the Niche Pursuits podcast, 5-6 years ago. And we talked a lot about AMC Tracker. He exited that business 5-6 years ago as well for a life-changing amount of money. We do talk about that amount of money in the interview. But Travis has moved on and is doing a lot of great things, including investing. And we talk a lot about his investing strategies and the difference between sort of bootstrap startups and VC and angel backed startups, and how he's doing both really, and his approach for diversifying his portfolio. But Travis's background is very much in SEO and in building content websites. And so we do dive into that, of course. Travis has a SEO agency over at smashdigital.com. But we talk also a lot about his investing.io community. This is a community that he is now the owner of, where it's a lot of individuals that are entrepreneurs that maybe were bootstrapped and had a significant exit, or just people that are looking to invest, and really a lot of smart people. I'm in that community. There's a lot of other great people that are in that community that are talking about both online investing and offline investing. And so there's a lot of deals that are discussed, websites that you can purchase, or businesses that you can purchase, or just other questions and answers that are happening inside that community. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. If you want to follow along, you can go over to investing.io. But anytime you can have somebody like Travis that you can sit down and just listen to, he's a really smart guy. He's made a lot of smart investment decisions and started a lot of really successful businesses with a couple of meaningful exits, and then just has a lot of smart things to say about SEO. And so I hope you'll listen in and enjoy some of the advice that Travis has to share. Thanks again. Hey, Travis, welcome to the Niche Pursuits podcast.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, actually. I don't remember what year you were on here originally, but it's been a few years.
Like at least 5, 6.
Yeah, 5-6 years.
I don't know.
Yeah. Last time you were here, we're talking about AMC Tracker. So that can give people a time frame, or give you a time frame, right? For when we were chatting. For people that maybe didn't listen to that first episode, or that don't know you, can you give us just like
old,
that aren't old, right? New to the industry, I guess. But can you give us just like maybe a 1-minute sort of background, who you are, as far as, business stuff?
Business stuff. Been an entrepreneur for, I don't know, maybe 13 years at this point. And I've had at least a dozen businesses, and I don't know, probably 100 side projects at this point. Have had a few e-commerce companies like supplements, that type of thing. I've had an SEO agency, which I've had for a really long time. It's my longest running business. It's over a decade old now. Some SaaS companies, the AMC Tracker was the one we're talking about. Yep. It was my claim to fame in the entrepreneur world. And now I'm moving on to like an investing community, and just more of an investor now than anything personally. So I've went all around.
Yeah, which is what I love. You have a really diverse background, right? It's not just you've always been in e-commerce, or not always just SaaS. I mean, like you said, SEO is kind of your longest running agency that you have. And so you have a really strong SEO background. So I kind of love it, because I've done similar, right? I feel like I've kind of dabbled in a lot of things, and that's worked, right? Like I haven't just gone all in on one particular space. And
remarkably the same, actually. SaaS, Amazon e-commerce, SEO, all the stuff.
Yep. So that can work, right? Sometimes I always worry about, people say you need to focus and pick your one thing, and that's going to make or break you. But I guess we're two guys that have kind of proven that wrong.
I really get each argument, and I
Yeah.
still don't know where I stand. Like, obviously, me diversifying and tinkering in tons of different projects has worked out really well for me, but there's lots of others where I think it's the complete opposite. I know people who they tinker and they chase the next shiny object all the time, and it just doesn't work for them at all. If they would just focus on one thing, I don't know. There's some really long going thread in the DC back and forth about that. No one
Yeah.
seems to have a good answer.
Yeah. Maybe it's more kind of a personality thing, right? It depends, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a one size fits all there for sure. So AMC Tracker, what year did you sell AMC Tracker?
Wow. I really don't know. Maybe maybe like 2016, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Uh,
So
yeah,
5, 6 years ago, something like that.
something like that.
You
I should
would
really look
think
that
you
up.
would remember, because here's my follow-up question. And I didn't prep you on this, but have you shared publicly like how much you sold that for? And are you comfortable sharing that number?
Yeah, I'm okay. Andrew from Mixergy sneaked it out of me like
Ah,
he's good at doing.
yeah.
So it was something like 11.6 or 11.8 million.
Holy cow.
Now I had a co-founder too.
Congrats.
It
Yeah.
didn't all go to me. But yeah, so it was life changing for sure.
Yeah. So that's a life-changing amount of money, which is, again, I kind of chuckle. Hey, such a huge number. And you're like, maybe it was 5 years ago. I don't remember what year. You would think you would kind of mark that as like an anniversary you celebrate every year or something, right? But
Well, it was insanely epic at the time. Like, I don't want to downplay like the
yeah.
emotions I felt, but I had lots of different projects going on. They kept going on. Payments were spread out over a few years. I was still involved for a year or two afterwards for a little bit. Like specific dates and amounts don't really stick with me.
So I was going to get into this later, but this is a perfect time for it. I mean, it's a huge life-changing amount of money, right? I don't know if you were 50-50 partners in that or whatever, but it's a lot of money either way you look at it, right? Why keep working on so many projects, right? You can take $5 or $6 million or whatever it is, and probably you're set for life if you just kind of invest it wisely and do that. So why keep doing all these new projects?
I ask myself this question regularly, and I still don't have a good answer. I wish I did. I think about it, and then people ask me this regularly. I don't know. Part of it is, if you're playing entrepreneurship right, like past the point of being able to pay your bills and like provide for your family, that like basic need, if you're doing it right, then it's kind of a game of sorts. It's kind of the ultimate strategy game. Like, it's just a big video game. And so in some ways it's fun, but in other ways you get addicted to status, you get addicted to endorphin rushes, the game of more, which is very much a trap, but still most of us fall into, and I do as well.
Oh yeah, it's easy to get stuck, checking your Google Analytics stats or your, earnings stats. How many sales did I make today? And it's fun, it's exciting. It kind of keeps you going, doesn't it?
I've talked about this a couple of times, but I am an addict when it comes to checking things, like my analytics, my SERP Fox, like whatever. I am definitely an addict, and I hide the logins. So I'll log out and I'll hide it like in some like Evernote or something like encrypted. So if I want to go look at it, it's like a 2-minute process for me to go through it. And so this way I can maybe check it once a week. And otherwise it's a couple times a day it's popping up. Yep. Email is my last major vice that I don't have a good solution for yet.
Oh, I know. I'd love to get off email, right? But
yeah,
it's hard.
And Slack, stupid Slack. It started out great, and now I'm in like 8 different channels for the different businesses, and each one has like 20 pending ones, and I feel bad for my team, and I don't know. It's another one.
So it's why do we keep, and I include myself in this, right? Because I start to think about it. I certainly haven't had an exit that sizable, but I've had Longtail Pro as a decent exit and other things that have gone well. If I sort of played my cards right, I'm getting to the point. It's like, well, why keep working? Why keep running a business? Part of it, like you said, maybe it's the gamified aspect of it. It's exciting. Any other thoughts on that? I mean, I have a couple thoughts as well, but you're the
So
guest.
I do, and I just did some math in my head right here. Part of it is I don't feel like I'm a very big risk taker, which seems strange being an entrepreneur and like the type of investing I do in so many different ways. But I'm looking at like long-term blow up risk. And if let's just take $5 million in the bank. That's awesome. But you invest that in, an index fund, like what's the S&P paying right now in dividends? 1.49%. That comes to 74,000 a year. Hey, that's a comfortable living. Like that's okay. You're not balling on 74,000 a year with a family, like that type of thing.
Yep.
And so of course you can sell your stock over the years, the fire movement's doing their 4% like you sell, but I don't trust that. Like there's just seems like some sort of blow up risk. I have seen it happen with people who thought they had it all figured out and then it doesn't work. And so for me, if I can at least be making some money, specific, hopefully way more, but at least be making some along the way, then it dramatically decreases that risk. And I can live a way higher quality of life and still have some fun.
Yeah. No, absolutely. There's a lot to be said for that. The other thing I think about as well is, if not growing a business, like then what? Like a lot of it is, there's been a lot of studies done on happiness in terms of being able to kind of get in flow of doing things that, actually matter either to you or other people. Right. And so that's part of it as well. It's not just the money, but being able to create and sort of get your mind into a spot where you're working on something. Right. Otherwise you probably go insane. So,
I mean, I know for sure, like some of the times, like list the top 10 happiest times of my life. There's going to be several of those where I'm neck deep in a startup for sure. AMC Tracker was definitely one of those. It was just such a great ride. I mean, it was terrible at the same time, and I was miserable for half of it. And man, when you're in the flow state, it feels good.
Yep, it does indeed. And so your other e-commerce startup was Unicorn Smasher, right?
Not really. That was just kind of a toy of AMC Tracker.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I mean, everybody knows Jungle Scout pretty much. Like, Yep. It was a Jungle Scout clone, and it was free. So, but it went along with AMC Tracker.
Okay,
it was really
I wasn't
just a way
sure
to
about
get
that. Got it.
To like, hey, use our stuff for free, and we're going to promote the show ourselves to you.
Okay, all right. No, I missed that one 6 years ago, but
I mean, Jungle Scout was better.
Worked.
Jungle Scout was better. Ours was free. That's like it's free.
Oh yeah. And I would tell a lot of people to go use it. Like they were getting started out. I was like, yeah, go use Unicorn Smasher. It's free. That can get you started for sure.
I still love the name, the branding, everything.
Yep. And I know that you've used sort of the Smash, right, name here in the future. Like tell us what where you've kind of used that now.
Well, my kind of like investment holding company is Smash VC, Smash.vc. And that's where I try to invest in minority stakes in, kind of bootstrap profitable businesses. And then also my SEO agency is Smash Digital. So the original plan, by the way, to make it seem cool, was that we were going to have Smash.digital was the SEO agency, Smash.vc was like, the venture arm. But then the Smash.digital, it messed up. Like a lot of people aren't used to typing in digital and they try to type in com after that. Or like at first Gmail wasn't even recognizing it, like Travis at Smash.digital. No,
really?
Yeah. And so we had to throw it all out the window and go buy the .com for like $3,000. And then it wasn't near as cool afterwards. It stopped the coolness factor.
Yeah. So it's still Smash VC and Smash digital, yeah.
.com, yeah.
Smashdigital.com, right.
Ridiculous.
So which is very cool for sure. And so In terms of investing that you're doing now, why don't we dive into that a little bit? Like, what types of startups are you looking to invest in? What have you done recently?
All right. So my investing portfolio is really all over the place. It's very diversified. You can think a lot of it in kind of the traditional Taleb barbell style investments. And for those who aren't familiar, like the barbell style is like on one end is very safe, maybe boring even, and the other end is very speculative, but with a very high upside. And so you're capping your downside, like, hey, that high speculative end, I could lose all of that. But I got my safe stuff, and I'm not really playing in the middle all that much.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I don't necessarily own a lot of index funds, which is blasphemy to a lot of people,
Right.
but it works for me. And so, on the safer side of my portfolio is actually private businesses. The type of businesses that you and I own. These. I think if they are in a diversified portfolio, they are very safe and consistent and produce, good returns. Like, let's say you sell businesses. Let's say you were to buy a company for a 3x multiple. You're now getting a 33% a year yield. That's awesome. If you have 15 or 20 of those, you're now very diversified. And even if COVID hits again, hey, some of them are going to make it through. I think that's fine. And on the other end of stuff, like the more speculative I'm playing in crypto, playing in DeFi. I've got a lot of angel investments, which I've slowed that down, and more of that type of stuff.
So that's interesting. You sort of categorize the businesses, the online businesses that we, you and I typically run as sort of the safer side. Is that what you're saying?
It is. Now, I think if you have all of your chips in one affiliate site, that's completely dependent on Google rankings, you are a risky person, and that's not me.
Gotcha.
Personally, I have an agency. I have a e-commerce FBA agency. I've got tons of different private ownership in small businesses and whatnot. I've got an investing community, all this stuff, so that I'm kind of blow up proof in that range.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And then, so let's just talk a little bit about the startup riskier side. How did you get involved in that? How are you finding sort of angel investments, if you will, on the startup side?
I have no idea how I got involved with that, actually. No idea. After you sell AMC Tracker, like, that's what you do. You get a bunch of money, you go angel invest and burn a bunch of it. So I think one of the problems with angel investing is you don't really know if you're good or not, or lucky or not, for a really long time. Mm-hmm. And so I've been doing it for a few years, and I'm at least just now to the point where I can comfortably say, I'm not going to lose money, but am I going to have any major wins? I don't know, because in angel investing and in startups in general, they describe like the J curve. So if you're looking at a chart and map out a little J, like at first you put in all your money, and then over the first few years, like the ones that aren't going to work die. And so those startups fell. And so you look like, holy crap, I'm losing my money. What's going on here? But then like the real winners take 7-10 years or more to happen. Like, look at all the companies that are going public right now. Like, think of Uber and Airbnb and DigitalOcean, which I own some of, just went public. Like, these things have been private for a decade, and so you just don't know for a really long time. So with that said, I have slowed down my angel investing a lot. I think I made some bad investments at first, which is pretty much the norm. Like, if you're starting to angel invest, just dip your toe in, like, with small amounts of money, because you're going to make terrible investments. Everybody does. Yeah. Except for Jason Calacanis, whose Uber was like his second one. And Thumbtack was his first. Ridiculous. But with that, I kind of messed up for a while, because I was trying to get these middle of the road businesses. Like, oh, this looks like it's a pretty good business that won't fail. That's actually the wrong way to think about angel investing. I think, like, you really need to look at, if everything goes right, can this thing be worth many billions? Because like angel investing is very, like in venture in general, it's a power law business. And so I don't know, over 50 angel investments. One of those is going to make more profit than all the others combined, most likely.
Right.
So those are the ones, like, my last several angel investments have been much more in line with that. And I think much better. They're higher risk, but if they work, then it's, getting a Rolls Royce. Not really,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Be able to.
Yeah.
So is angel investing like pretty passive for you then? Like, is it really just in financial investments, or do you do any sort of advising to the companies?
There's a few that I advise with. In general, no, and I'm open to it, but a lot of these people don't really want me. I would say maybe half or maybe 60% of the investments went through Angel List. So it's,
okay.
I'm just tagging along with somebody else's syndicate, and it's easy. And if you're trying to get involved, like, that's the best way to do it. Go to Angel, actually buy Jason Calacanis's Angel book. It's really good. To be honest, I didn't expect it to be good, but it was good. And his method is join a few syndicates. Each one that comes through, put in like $1,000, which is, the minimum you can do on Angel List. And then later on, once you start, reading the reports and learning how it all works, then you can start deploying more capital. So hopefully, like, the ones that you're putting, your first bets will not be big ones because they're going to be bad, basically.
Yeah.
I don't remember the point I was trying to make. I kind of rambled.
No, I think that's a good point. Basically that, you've now experienced angel investing a little bit, right? Made some mistakes, probably like everybody does. It sounds like getting involved in angel investing. But at this point, you've got what you hope are, maybe a couple of big winners, right? That maybe you won't know for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a few years, but
you base some of these based on like further funding rounds. Like, I'm such a small fish. Like, I'm in, seed stage stuff, the very earliest stage. But then if these guys are going and continue to raise, like, their A and B and C rounds and stuff like that from much better known VCs, that's a good sign that something's happening and something's working.
Right.
Because those people are way smarter than me.
Yeah. It really is interesting, though, to kind of compare the VC or angel world to the sort of startup world, the bootstrap world that, we kind of come from, right? Like, we're used to sort of online entrepreneurs that are, cobbling together a little bit of money and launching a product and just hustling, right, to sort of grow it. And that's certainly financially a sort of safer way to go, but you're also probably never going to have that $1 billion valuation, right? So
yeah, with everything we just said, and we've talked about this venture stuff from the beginning, I want to be super clear. Like, my heart and soul and faith lies more in the bootstrapper community than the VC. That just happened to be what we talked about first, but that is, I don't know. I have way less faith in the VC side of stuff. Like, it's awesome, but I would much rather build a lean bootstrapped business from scratch than try and scale one of these out. And I've never raised funding for any of my own businesses either.
Right.
For one of my businesses, I basically raised funding from myself and overspent from the start. Okay. And it was a terrible idea. It ended up working out very luckily because the CEO ended up being a rock star of the business. But yeah, whenever I kind of lean away from being a lean bootstrapper, like, I generally regret it myself.
Yeah, no, obviously there's sort of pros and cons, right, to sort of going either way. But same, I think we come from the same sort of thought, right? Is
for sure.
Yeah, there's just so many opportunities, especially for online businesses. Like, if you know what you're doing with SEO and just other things, like, you can really gain traction and build a great profitable business for yourself or your co-founders or your employees or whatever. Right.
Yeah. Like, what is, let's put you on the spot, buddy.
All right, let's do it.
What is your ultimate goal with business? Like, what's your desired outcome? What do you want your life to look like as a result of this?
That is a great question. As I already kind of talked about, like I'm inching ever closer, like already to like what I sort of envision, like is a great lifestyle. And I guess that's number one is I'm looking for comfortable lifestyle. My family and I are, financially secure, right? And so I feel like I've basically kind of achieved that, right?
Yeah.
I've sort of got the house that I want. I've got, savings and investments that I feel like we're fairly secure. So in that regard, I feel like that's like almost met. But then you start thinking about, okay, what comes after that? And I'm kind of in the same boat in terms of, I don't know exactly if it starts to become, building fun companies that employees can be a part of, or if it just means something completely different. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm thinking,
So we're on the same page in a lot of this. I think if you're trying to make a business path or business decision based on the highest likely outcome of you living the life that you want, most likely the logical thing is to create some sort of bootstrap style business. And that could be anything. It could be a affiliate style portfolio, even if you're diversified.
Right.
But any of these things will work because your chances of success, of like, I say moderate success being a very comfortable life, is relatively high. If you do the work, put in the time, have some sort of skills in this stuff, it's pretty high. Where if you're trying to swing for the fences and make $100 million startup, your chances of success are really low.
Yeah.
And that's not me. So yeah, I'll choose the secure way any day, and it's a more peaceful existence too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. In terms of peaceful existence, it's a lot less pressure, right? You don't have all these investors that you're trying to please, or outside, just funding sources that, right? They're wanting reports and they're wanting you to hit metrics and goals, and that can be a stressful way to go about doing business.
Yeah, here I'll play out a scenario for you. Let's say I start a new startup and I raise some money at a $5 million valuation, which is pretty standard in the startup world. It seems crazy to bootstrappers. You don't even have anything, but this is how it works. But let's say a year into it, I get an offer to sell for $50 million. Wow, what an awesome win for the founder. You probably own, I don't know, we'll say you own 70% or half or whatever. Yeah. That's an awesome win. Investors are pissed. They're like, no, do not. Like this, it's too early. Like, wow, aim for $1 billion. And sometimes they can hold this up. It depends on the structure and the rounds and all this stuff, but sometimes you're not even going to be able to get out of it. And sometimes even when they do get these massive exits, they don't even walk away with much if the company hasn't had like an amazing growth rate the entire time. If it declines, like maybe it's a down round and they walk away with nothing.
Yeah, so, you get locked into your own startup and it becomes a job almost, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk investing.io. This Richard Patey and you kind of joined forces here, and explain what it is. Why did you get involved?
All right, Investing.io is a community / it's a forum, and it really wanted a place for people like me to talk about the stuff that is interesting to me in the investing world. And so there's plenty of like investing forums. There's the Motley Fool, and I don't know. There's all these different ones, but they are more talking about like either like stock picking. You sometimes got the crypto forums or any of this stuff, but no one's really talking about the type of investing that you and I do, which can be all over the place. A lot of these affiliate sites or e-commerce businesses, like investing in those type of things. And then also all the different types of investing I talked about is basically what we want to offer in the forum. It's made for like entrepreneurs turned investors, not people who have a 9 to 5 and a 401k and want to be an investor. Like the stuff we talk about is not appropriate generally.
Yeah. And that's what I love, because I am in the community there, and I've looked at a lot of the threads, right? There's a lot of really interesting discussion. What I love is that it is from like founders, like entrepreneurs that, have built successful businesses, and now they're, either looking to diversify their portfolio, or just see interesting sort of things that they, either want to invest in or ask about investing in. And so it's a different crowd than just, right, somebody that has money per se. It's like they've got the background of really, I mean, at least right now, mostly is sort of the online business world. Some people that have done really well there.
Yeah. And that's the community that I want to keep with it, as it continues to grow, like hold that close. It doesn't have to be all people doing exactly what we do, but kind of like seeing the world through that lens type of thing.
Right.
Entrepreneurs. I mean, the type of investments that entrepreneurs can invest in is way more diverse than, the typical person. And this kind of opens up the discussion for those types of things.
So is there a, what's sort of the business model of investing.io itself?
It's a forum. You pay money to join. We take your money and offer a forum. That's the basics of it. But there's a lot more going on too as well. Colin Ma, I think you've interviewed him.
Yeah. Yep. I know Colin. Yep.
Yeah. He's boss. He evaluates some of the deal flow from, a couple of different brokerages each week. And he'll look at one of the deals and evaluate it, more or less from an opportunity and SEO perspective. Like, is this a good buy? He'll find any of the flaws in it, any potential upsides and easy wins, and kind of put that out. And that's super helpful to a lot of people. We're starting to bring in some private deals for certain investments.
Okay.
Kind of like, ideally, the type of like smash VC investments I do, where you try to buy a minority stake in the business. We're going to offer that to the members. Hopefully soon. We've got a few of those in the works. Because these are hard to find, those type of deals, and it's not the type of thing you can throw up on AngelList, because it's not a good fit.
Right.
So I think it's a really good fit for this community, though. That's the gist of it, man. And we have the Investing.io newsletter written by Juliet, who is a rock star at this. I highly recommend you subscribe to it, even though I own it. And I'm very biased, obviously, but I read it and enjoy it. She does a really great job with it.
Yeah.
You learn a lot. I don't know how she finds all these stories. I mean, she usually finds it's startup based stuff a little bit. It's a lot of investing type stuff. Let me rephrase that. Investing type stuff, like our type of investing, I should say. All over the place. She talks to the Bootstrap community a lot. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. I read the newsletter. It's good stuff. It's very much has a SEO affiliate marketing flair as well.
Yeah.
Right. So it really resonates well with that audience. But like you said, there's broader stuff that's discussed as well. Right. But it's kind of comes at it from that angle in a way.
Yeah. Well, the community started is actually Richard Patey. He created a great newsletter. It was it started as websiteinvesting.substack.com. He started a Substack about website investing, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
And I subscribed. I was a paid member because I thought it was, super useful to me. And then we ended up talking, and I ended up buying that from him. And we kind of then figured out it makes a lot more sense to make this into a community than keep up doing the newsletter. And so, we transferred all that into community, but we kept the newsletter. So it still very much has that type of base, that foundation to it of the website investing type of thing.
Right. Yeah. I love it. I love the community there. Is the plan to just kind of keep growing that community, just keep it an active place where people can go and sort of talk about investment opportunities?
Yeah, pretty much. I kind of thought about is this a place that I would be happy spending the next decade, talking about this stuff? Absolutely. And especially if it's filled with, butter you up a little bit, people like yourself. I don't want to name call the people in there, but there's some really incredible people in
Yep,
there,
there is.
dropping knowledge bombs all the time. And if I just have a place to hang out with them, that's awesome. And like, hey, I'll be completely honest, even if it wasn't making money, I would still want it. So it's an easy win-win.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about, sort of your SaaS background, what you're doing now with the investing.io community. But like you said, your longest running business is, an SEO agency. So SEO is very core to kind of who you are and where you've come from. Are you doing anything interesting right now in terms of like your own SEO projects, either sites or just things you partnered on, anything like that?
Let me think through it all. Well, one thing for all of the companies that I invest in, like the private, like Smash VC style companies, we offer them SEO at no cost through the agency.
Nice.
So that's a pretty. I should rephrase that, at cost.
At
So
cost. Yeah.
like using our staff is no cost to them. If we need to, build some backlinks, maybe like the content costs money, and we just bill them exactly at what it cost us. So I don't know, the markups in SEO agency, it's a really good deal. And I'm insanely biased, but our SEO agency, we're really good. We've been doing this for a long time. We got rock stars running this thing. I mean, Nick Cantor and Tim, they've been there forever. Carl Kanger, I mean, dude, you should have him on the show. He's really good. He's a legit rock star in the SEO world. So I don't know. These guys are really solid running the whole thing. So it's a pretty good, sweet deal. Over the years, again, my SEO agency's been over 10 years now. And I got started in SEO by learning it myself to rank my first e-commerce company.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I made everything. And so I got really deep into it over the years. And we've been through all the transitions, like, back when, like, pre-PBNs, like back before that, talking about like X-Rummer days or any of this crazy stuff. And then slowly over the years, it's transitioned. Like we no longer use PBNs. And now it's pretty much all like very legit outreach stuff. You know how it goes, but it's as we continue to go, we move a little bit more upscale. Like the type of stuff we offer has to be more and more squeaky clean, and it works. Like it's the problem with building squeaky clean stuff is it's hard to get in bulk and it's hard to scale that. Well, we've luckily had 10 years to work on it, and the systems, and we've got like, maybe 15 people in the agency, maybe 20, like working on it. So we've been able to create some cool stuff.
Yeah. So for people listening that maybe, they're an affiliate site owner, like obviously the guy that's just starting, that's, not making any money from his site, it's probably a little much to go straight to, your agency there. Like, what sort of size business do you think, somebody that's making over 10,000, 20,000, like what's like a good budget for somebody to come in and hire your agency?
Like, I think our minimums are like started at $2,500 a month. So I mean, you can do the math, whatever it goes from there. And SEO is more of a long-term play. And if you ever go and like talk to an SEO agency, and they're promising you something in a couple of months, you should really run. Like that is like, they're either lying to you or doing something super sketchy that won't last. So sometimes we get clients and, 3 months later, we got this massive pop up and everything's worked really well. But, most of the time you're looking at, 6 months till stuff really starts kicking in. So you should have the type of business to where that makes sense to you. We don't want somebody coming in and like, this is all their money that they're investing into it, and they're panicked because that it won't work.
Yep.
They'll come in for 2 months and then stop when stuff's starting to get good. And, these things have it takes a while to get these campaigns rolling at full steam. It's like pushing a train type of thing.
Yeah. So maybe you can just kind of walk through what a campaign looks like in terms of what you guys are doing behind the scenes. Are you involved in kind of creating content or, coming up with content ideas and then kind of doing a bunch of outreach to try and get links to
No,
that type of stuff?
I hate content.
Yeah.
I love content. I love it a lot, but I don't like the business of creating content. And we've looked at it several times. We're even talking about just last week of buying a content agency that's coming up for sale. Like, wow,
Okay.
this could be a really good fit, but at the end of the day, it's a really pain in the butt business model. And so we focus on really just what we're best at, which is link building. So when somebody comes on, it depends on the type of site and customer that they are, but most of the time, average, like, I don't know, SaaS company or like large affiliate site type of things come on. We just start with auditing all their stuff, fixing all their stuff. And I hate even using the term audit now because it's thrown around so casually. And most of people are just, throwing it into one of these softwares and pressing go and sending the report to clients. And that's much crap. But these are very legit audits that almost always find a good bit of stuff. And then we just get the link building going. And the link building is either the very time consuming but fruitful outreach campaigns where God, I don't even want to say guest posting because that's such a term that's been burnt up with crap links. But these are very like the legit sites, the stuff that you're reading yourself. Like that's the type of stuff we're guest posting on. There's that. And then what most people in the SEO industry know but don't say, there's a whole other category of links where you're paying an admin fee to get posted. And those are for a different category of clients who, maybe they need some SEO help, but they don't have the budget to swing for these big links that, those big links cost a lot of money because they take a lot of man hours to get it going. And so, I don't want to name names, but all the main agencies, are doing that. You're doing outreach, you're finding sites that you can, pay an admin fee for them to put up a blog post for you. And you're scaling that. So, but that's the cheaper side. And it still works. It does still work for any sites that I, use for myself, which is really handy having an SEO agency. You just kind of like, you guys go rank this. What we usually do is we will send the vast majority of the links using the really high quality outreach ones that take a long time. And then whenever we have like maybe a page that needs a little bit of sniping, like it just needs like an inner page needs a little bit of boosting. Hey, paying for those posts is the best combo because then you can like dictate maybe anchor text or something like that a little bit more where you never could on the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of outreach, that, it's not the fun stuff of SEO, at least for me, right? Like got to have somebody else doing the outreach for you. So let's talk just for our last couple of minutes here about age domains. And I guess I should preface this. I guess I was going to ask if you were to start a new site today, would you build it on like an aged domain, right? That's got some of these links already pointing to it. And, we're kind of leading into what you're doing now with Juice Market, of course, but just aged domains in general. Is that what you would do if you were to start a new site today?
Absolutely. So we'll get to Juice Market in a second, but age domain, basically buying previous businesses that existed that already had a tons of established backlinks will speed up your SEO journey so much.
Yep.
You can sometimes if you're lucky, you can start ranking stuff almost immediately when you put it up, but it can speed up your journey, easily 6 months, a year type of thing. And sometimes you can, if you acquire the right age domain, you can get links that you would never be able to build yourself.
Right.
You get these really high quality tech links and stuff. So I've used it myself. It speeds it up. Now, with that said, as we were kind of segueing into, the problem with this is finding these domains, which are really difficult. You got to use some software like DomCop or Spamzilla. These are very time consuming, non-user friendly softwares that Spamzilla is better than Domcop though. But then as you're scraping these auctions, then you have to go and bid at the auctions after you find them. And this is a very insanely time consuming process. The auction prices are going really high now, and then you might even lose it. So after all that effort. And so I hated this crap. And so I was talking to my good friend, Sean Markey, who I've worked with for a long time. And we decided to make a startup, specifically making a two-sided marketplace for these things. So we no longer have to go through auctions. It's like the equivalent of going to Amazon. You find what you want, you click buy. Here it is juicemarket.com. It's, we have all these SEO specific domains with backlinks and age, and you just find the one you want. You sort by metrics. You look at what it used to look like in archive.org. We have direct links to all this stuff and click buy. Simple.
Super easy. Yeah. I've been looking at domains a little bit more recently, and I did recently connect with Sean Markey, your partner there at Juice Market. And, you go to something like expireddomains.net, right? And you can sort of see all sorts of things and do all sorts of filtering. And you can get lost in that world really fast. Like 3 hours can be gone, and it's like you didn't really find anything, or you think you did. And you, like you said, you maybe put a bid and you don't get that bid. So it's a super interesting world to go and find these, because do you even know like the numbers of domains that are dropping every day or expiring every day? It's an insane amount.
Yeah.
It's thousands and thousands every day. And so there are lots of opportunities happening sort of almost every day, right? But to find those and to be the one person that gets those, right? It's time consuming process.
So for me, I hated it. I don't have a lot of spare time.
Yeah.
And I get distracted with this stuff easily. And so I was spending way too much time getting started with these things. For somebody like Sean, he loves this stuff. He loves this domain world and like digging through the data, and he finds this gold all the time that he throws out. So it's to each their own. But for me, it's much better to just click buy on something. And my time is so valuable that it just doesn't make sense for me searching for these things.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, that's over at juicemarket.com if people want to check that out. So Travis, just kind of wrapping up here, we've covered a whole range of subjects here, obviously, right? With kind of, I guess, the core being, just investing, SEO, and sort of bootstrapping as well. So in that regard, for the listener that is a bootstrapper that's maybe looking to start their first sort of content site, maybe affiliate site, right, that they're hoping to use SEO. Like, do you have just any sort of general advice or tips that you'd like to share to that listener?
Starting their first. Okay, I was about to say no, but I do have one. There is this unfair advantage that cannot really be replicated at scale. And you can't really hire this out without insane difficulty. It's that having someone who like lives and breathes a niche. So if someone is starting an affiliate site, all right, if it's something you already know and love, wow, like you've just hit the jackpot already, as long as it's, you can monetize it well. But I kind of feel like someone who always lives in a certain niche, knows all the content, knows what all the competitors are doing, is always tweaking their own site, always doing the manual type of boringly building, like dropping quality blog comments, like all this old school stuff. You can't replicate it. Like I have tried to replicate this stuff at scale and I can't. So if you're just starting out and you can just give it all to one thing and really know the ins and outs, I think it's a big leg up.
Yeah. That's an interesting point, because I look at somebody that I actually bought a site from a couple of years ago. And then I saw it's this individual, she went and started a new site, right? And she only had one site, she sold it. And now she's 100% focused on this new site. Like she's just in the last 2.5 years, she's taken this new site and just scaled it like crazy because she lives and breathes this stuff, right? She's on Pinterest, she's on the Facebook groups, she's building she's involved in the community of the site that she's building. And you're right. You can't do that if you got like 5-10 projects you're working on.
Yeah. You can't half-ass it. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. Yep. So
yeah.
So that's a great tip. I agree. Travis, if people want to follow along with what you're doing or get in touch with you, like, where do you want to send people?
Probably my site, travis.vc/me. That'll show all the projects, and that'll show some of the projects I'm currently working on, social media, all that stuff.
Perfect. Travis, it's been a pleasure having you back on the Niche Pursuits podcast. It's been way too long. Let's maybe try to do it sooner next time.
I look forward to it. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
Cheers.